all the churches had kind of a combination of good going on there and bad. For the most part, they did. The Savior would come in as a witness and say, you're doing this well, but I have this against you. But then we get to Laodicea, the last one. They've heard all kind of wretchedness in other churches. I wonder what they're thinking the Savior will say to them. Sardis had no commendation at all, but they still had some root of goodness going on there. There were people in Sardis upholding the name of Christ, the letter said. But Laodicea has not one thing good going on there. This church is so wretched, is so evil. The Savior says the thought of them makes him want to throw up. What's going on that is so heinous and so evil and so disgusting to the Savior in this church? I mean, we've heard of sexual immorality and idolatry in the other churches. It has to be worse than that. What is it? Is it child sex trafficking? Is it child sacrifice? Is it murderous idolatry? What's the worst thing that's happening in this church? You probably would never guess, coming, that is self-righteousness. It's self-righteousness. The worst thing the Savior can imagine. For you say, I am rich, I have prospered, and I need nothing. Self-righteousness going on in that church. I wonder when we teach our kids how to be good, what to do, what pleases God. We tell them the 10 Commandments, right? Don't lie, don't steal, including your don't cheat, certainly don't murder, all good things we don't want our kids doing. Do we ever tell them not to be self-righteous? Do we ever address pride and self-righteousness in our kids? Or are we just concerned with when they're hitting each other or fighting over something? This is the worst thing the Savior can imagine. That's why this letter is last. That's why nothing good is said about it. Don't miss that. And if we're not careful, we can all be guilty of this kind of self-righteousness. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined by fire, so that you may be rich, and white garments, so that you may have clothes for yourself, and the shame of your nakedness may not be seen, and salve to anoint your eyes, so that you may see. What does he offer them? He offers them the three things that he said they don't have. He said they were poor, and he offers them gold. He said they were blind, and he offers them sight. He said they were naked, and he offers to clothe them. This goes back to that call to worship. In Isaiah 55, come everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. And he who has no money, come buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Don't miss the irony in the letter in Revelation that we're reading. He says you're poor. How can they buy from him? How does a poor person purchase? How does somebody with no resources get something? They receive it. That's it. They can't try to buy it. You can't barter with God. You receive it. That's buying without money. You have to recognize that you are poor and pitiable and naked and blind. That's why in the Gospels, Jesus has all kinds of poor and blind and pitiable people coming to him and asking him to heal them, bringing nothing. They had nothing to offer. Come by without money. That's the see your wretchedness. Don't hold up your righteousness before God. It will never stand. Gold refined by fire speaks of riches without impurities, riches without the impurity of self-righteousness. We're offering filthy rags. He offers us purified, pure works that are his works. White garments to clothe ourselves, clothe our shame of nakedness. Doesn't this go back to Genesis 3 where they try to clothe themselves with leaves? So silly. Clothing ourselves in filth. He gives us his righteousness, pure white garments. and salve to anoint our eyes so that we may see. We think we're so smart. These Laodiceans think they're so they're blind, they can't see anything. Yet Christ sends the Spirit to open their eyes, to give them a spiritual awakening, to see clearly their spiritual wretchedness, need for a Savior, to receive the grace he offers them. It's what the Savior offers. It's free. It's grace. The message is for everybody. Jesus Christ is knocking on the door. You open it by belief.